So, that's a good explanation of what we just saw today with The Acolyte. This is the worst piece of Star Wars, it's not Star Wars, that we have ever seen, of Star Wars that we have ever seen. I do not understand how this got the green light. It convolutes everything George created. I've given my spiel. They used R&B music in the credits. They convolute the Virgins in the Force. We go back to episode 3 of The Acolyte, and it's the same episode. The same episode, except the Jedi get more screen time. And all the characters act completely different. It convolutes everything. I don't even need to go into that. That's not the point of this video. The Acolyte is done. It is a horrible show. If you guys really want me to go into that episode, I will. I swear to you, there are very few people who know the episode 1 like I do, or the whole saga for that matter, like I do. Very few. Very, 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 very few. And everything that happens in this episode, and how they are making these 2 random girls, like, the chosen ones, basically, before Anakin, and had Leslie Headland implementing her story, saying, oh, well, that's why the Jedi are cautious before taking in Anakin. Like, that doesn't even make sense, because they weren't even warned. Like, nothing makes sense. Like, this show is garbage. And, like, Indara, getting the weird sisters out of Kelnaka's head, and, like, all of a sudden they all just die, they fall. That's not how the Force works. Like, I hate to break it to you. This is the worst Star Wars show ever released. Worse than The Last Jedi. This is beyond the crap and destruction and 0 out of 10 movie The Last Jedi was. At least we had John Williams. That was a good thing that came out of that movie, because John Williams has never made a bad score in his entire life. So that's all that was good that came out of The Last Jedi, okay? The Acolyte has nothing. Not even a good score. Nothing. Like, it is just... It's just this. It's garbage. It's just like, who cares? Who cares, dude? Don't bring me out to your stupid, fan events if you are going to show me this crap. Don't do that. Okay? Why would you bring me to that? Bring your shills. Don't bring me to that. That's like, I don't want to see this dumb show. I don't want to see it. Don't bring me to that. Bring me to ones where you made a good show. Bring me to those. Bring me to the one like Ahsoka Episode 5. I loved that. That was so memorable, man. Like, I remember, I loved that. Don't bring me to this crap. Don't. It offends me as a fan. I'm over it. I'm going to be very selective about which ones that I go to now, because that's ridiculous. You psyop me into writing a positive review about your first 2 episodes because you only do the first 2, and you only have a fan event for the first 2 because, you want to hide the trash from the show. So you just pick the one episode you think is good, or the 2 episodes you think are good, and you put those at fan events so that you psyop all your fans into saying, oh, this show is starting out great, blah, 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 blah. And I recommended the show to people because it's like, oh, it started out fine. Then I go rewatch them, and I'm like, this is trash. And then the rest of the show is like 0 out of 10. I'm like, why are you even doing that then? If you know the show's going to be bad, don't do that. This is not only a bad Star Wars show, this is a terrible, one of the worst TV shows I have ever seen in general. I cannot handle a season 2. Me and my people, we are getting through to the end of this season. Okay? We have one more week of this crap, and we're done. Once we're done with this season, I'm not going to watch another one. I'm not. This is excruciating torture to sit through as a real Star Wars fan. This is the line, okay? This is the point to where we've gotten. If you genuinely are going to try to back up this episode and support this episode and shut down people for critiquing this episode, you are not a Star Wars fan. End of story. I hate to break it to you. I hate to be mean, but it's the truth. This is not George Lucas Star Wars. This is not Star Wars. This directly convolutes the Phantom Menace. There is no way on the Lord's green earth you can back this up and say it matches Phantom Menace. No, it doesn't. You're not a George Lucas fan. You're not a Star Wars fan. Hate to use those words, but it's the truth. There is zero argument for this being good. And I'd love for one of you to try to argue with me about it, that enjoy this episode. I'd love to have a debate with you. Because it'll just make you look like a clown, and it would just show more people how much I know about Star Wars. That's all that would do. You know, like, there's no way to back this up at all. This show is like those pieces of paper. It's trash. It's disposable. Do you know how many children you could have fed with $180 million? I could have fed, like, so many homeless children. So many homeless people. I could have cleaned up some streets in LA with that amount of money. Like, what? And we get this? I'd rather this was just donated to charity than have this show. Like, what on earth? So, the point of this video, I've already talked about the Acolyte. That's why I made that video the other day. That's why I went more into the state of Star Wars in my last video. This has to do really with why are we incessant that we get George Lucas Star Wars? Why is it important to us? Why does it matter? And this is also a message to the real fans out there to not see the Star Wars logo and flinch, and to look at the Star Wars logo and you think of Star Wars. You don't think of this. This isn't Star Wars. I don't want you guys to, you know, be like, oh, Star Wars, it sucks. Like, I don't want that to happen. So that's why I'm making this video, because it was tough for me, guys, for a while, you know, and I had to split Disney stuff from my mind, and it makes sense when you do it, and how different and destructive Disney stuff has been to this brand. And I'm telling you why just enjoying George's stuff is the best way to go. So, basically, as a real Star Wars fan who's been a fan for 12 years, soon going to be 13 years, I am 16 years old, so I started when I was 3. I had this set of ideas. I had these stories. I had these characters. I had this background about the Force that was ingrained in me. And from there, I, you know, slowly became more and more knowledgeable about those things. So I never saw anything that convoluted it because I grew up in the Clone Wars, the end of the Clone Wars era. So there was nothing to trash on yet. You know, it was just, Star Wars was perfect at that point. And just, I could not tell you how much those characters and these stories mean to me. It is beyond how these shills feel about Star Wars, where they don't care. They say, oh, it's just a movie, guys. It's a sci-fi movie. Don't get all upset about it. Like, you guys are being children. They're just movies. They're more than that to real fans. Okay? I don't go into these for a Saturday morning cartoon or a ridiculous, diversity show that all the show is made for is to promote diversity. I'm not going into this show for that. I go into every Star Wars project wanting to be enthralled in the worlds, in the characters, in the scenarios, in the conflict of whatever is going on. I want to be enthralled. I want to get lost in it. And I want to feel like it matches with George's stuff and it makes sense. I just want it to make sense. That's why I loved Mando, because it had the George tone, it was shot really well, it was written really well, it never contradicted George's vision, it was just really well thought out. Then we have this. The Acolyte is the opposite, and it is a complete train wreck, and this show has helped me become so much more confident in my Star Wars knowledge that you guys have no idea. Like, because it proved everything I have been saying for the past 3 years about Disney Star Wars to be correct and true. And that's wonderful, because now you can't really come out and tell me that this, I've already gone through that. I'm not going to go through that again. But my point being is I have grown up with these characters. These characters have been, in my head for years. I have learned how they work. I have learned how they think. I have learned how they move. I know it all. Okay? And I'm telling you, I have looked at every single primary source that I could find to learn more about these characters. Every George Lucas documentary, every George Lucas book, every George Lucas article, every George Lucas TV special, and I'm telling you, everything, absolutely everything that exists on the internet, I have tried. And I have learned. And I have realized I wasn't looking at this correctly. And I grew from that. And I learned from my mistakes that I made. And I've grown and grown and grown and grown over the years. And I am beginning to run out of primary resources because of how much I have learned over these 13 years. Not a lot of 7-year-olds are reading articles on George Lucas and his vision for Star Wars. That's not very common, but I was, because I am enthralled in this universe and I want to know how it works and how it functions. Look, every single human on the face of the earth has gone through crap, okay? And how crappy it is or how much of it, that is so different in every person, For me, I had some crap, and I still have some crap that I have to deal with, It's not drastic, but it's there, and it bothers me, And putting Star Wars on, or reading about Luke or Anakin or Han or whatever, or, you know, relating myself to those characters and how they got out of tough spots similar to where I am, they help push me forward, and they help me realize that this is a problem that you can solve very easily. And then God gives me the extra push that I need to get me through it. So I have this perfect combination. I have the example of what happened to him and how he got through it, and then I have God to push me through. And that has helped me so much. You have no idea how many times I've been able to think in my head, what would Luke do? And it has significantly helped me. That is the magic of Star Wars, is these characters, you watch their lives and they teach you lessons. While they're not telling you the lessons, you are seeing them. And you have to go in and figure out what went wrong and why, and how they should have done it differently. Then you grow. You yourself learn a lesson which you can use to grow as a person. This is what Star Wars does. You know what else Star Wars does? It has these amazing characters that are so cool, like Darth Vader, or even just the Stormtrooper design, or Boba Fett, or any of the lightsabers, you know, that are just so cool. And I want to learn what they're made of and how they work, and you know, why they're designed that way. What's the functionality? I'm a very curious person, and that's what humans are supposed to be, very curious people. And I want to learn more and more and more about, you know, the cool things of Star Wars. I want to learn how the duels are fought. Why are they fought that way? Why is it this intensity and that intensity? Why are the fights in the original trilogy not as fast as the prequels? How are they almost equally balanced, you know, in their scenarios? I want to learn all of that too. I want to learn from Nick Gillard just as much as I want to learn from, you know, the costume designer of the prequels, Trisha Begar. You know, I also want to learn from, you know, John Williams and how his music helps amplify the, you know, movie or the movie he's working on for Star Wars, you know, and how he really is a ginormous piece to a lot of the symbolism and themes and motifs of Star Wars, and how he really is the Force. John Williams is the Force in Star Wars. That is literally like the way his music swells in all the movies represent the Force and what the Force feels about everything going on. When there's tension with the light and dark, John Williams has a tense piece, like Duel of the Fates. That is a major deal, because this was the Force, you know, it's the light and dark side, they're clashing, and they're fighting over the fate of the Chosen One, Anakin Skywalker. And the dark side wins, and Qui-Gon dies. Therefore, he will never be trained properly, and he will descend to Darth Vader. There you go. There's a great example of that. Or the throne room theme. It's hopeful, it's heroic, it's victorious, because, guess what? The light side just won and proved that this is the boy who will bring the galaxy back to peace. There you go. The sinister Sith theme surrounding Darth Maul and Phantom Menace. That little, you know, piece that plays with the opera, like, whispering, that shows the evil, the intense evil surrounding Darth Maul. Or the Emperor's theme, the nasty crawling evil that kind of, it's like you have spiders on your back, you know, when you hear that piece, it's like creeping and crawling. And that's what's happening to Luke. It symbolizes the Force. Like, I could go into every aspect, you know, the costume design and how in Anakin Skywalker, Phantom Menace, he's wearing these, you know, tan colors that are on the brighter side, you know, and how that represents him. And then in episode 2, he still has some of those tan colors here, but he starts to get the darkness. He gets, like, you know, the black tunic here, and then, but there's still some brown on the sleeves, you know, it's not complete darkness yet. And then by the time of Revenge, it's all black with brown pants. And it shows how the lightness is just getting ripped out of him slowly. And then he transitions to Darth Vader, and it's a completely black suit with mechanics, showing he is no longer human. That's great symbolism too. The visual effects, they help amplify the, you know, they are the only thing to really immerse you in the worlds, right? Because dialogue isn't enough, and this is something Disney needs to learn. This is what George has said, that dialogue's just another piece of the soundtrack. You know, it should flow with the movie, but in terms of wanting to immerse your viewer, you have to do more. For example, in the prequels, Coruscant, no way they could have done that in a model. That's impossible. So what did George do? He invented a way to CG all of it. And he did, and it looks amazing, still to this day. And let's do the speeder chase. This is where the cinematography comes in. You have the visuals that you're taking in. You're looking around. There's like a billion things. There's a creature here, speeder. They're all completely different from each other. But at the same time, the camera's like, whoosh, and you're following the speeder around. It's like, whoosh, but the camera's moving too. It's not just still. So you really feel like you're on that speeder the whole time. And you're really flying along with Obi-Wan and with Zam through Coruscant. And then sometimes it'll be still when Zam's like zipping past the camera and she's like, whoosh, and she goes right past the screen. But then you cut to Obi-Wan and you're like, even when there's a shot of like just him, the camera's like this. Like, that is amazing cinematography. Or the pod race scene, for example. You are constantly moving with the pod, and it's cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting to show the intensity of the scene. There are things, and fine, the writing. You're never in one conversation for probably more than 2 minutes in Star Wars. And they get to the main point, and you cut, because we're like, that's over with. So all of these things that I've talked about, and the actors give beautiful portrayals throughout all 6 movies. So all of this comes into play, and it intertwines, and it creates Star Wars. We have the legacy, the score, the writing, the directing, the acting, the effects, the sound design, which is extremely iconic, the creature design, the costume design, all of that melds into Star Wars. And that is Star Wars to me, the way it was done back then. Because those are the only movies that you see people really connect with. You don't see people making, you know, edits of the sequel trilogy, ever. You don't see people saying, oh, the sequel trilogy impacted me so much, I was so immersed in the worlds, and I was so blah, blah, blah. You know, you don't see anyone talking about Obi-Wan like that. Like, this is something that hasn't been recreated yet, but it's not hard. You know, I don't have the money or the resources to do it at my age, but I can write it. I know how to write it. You know, I tried to shoot my own Star Wars fan film, but with a $200 budget, you can't really do it that well. That's what I learned, but I learned and I grew from that experience, etc. You know, but I did. I wrote the story and it, you know, aligned with things and it didn't break canon. Like, my script is better than the Acolyte script in terms of connecting it with the Star Wars universe, you know, but I can write feature-length Star Wars movies pretty well. It takes a lot of time, you know, but I can do it and I can pull it off and they're really, really good. I've done a couple of them before, you know, and then I move on to the next one, move on to the next one. I wish I'd kept them, but my computer, something weird happened, like a lot of my files disappeared, so that was not great. But I'm probably, you know, I'm a student filmmaker, so I have to write movies that I'm actually going to make. So, you know, I don't know when I'll do my next Star Wars one, but, you know, I just like writing for fun. So probably when I'm done writing this one, my one I'm actually going to film, my own original film, which is original and something that has never been done before, which is another thing Disney has trouble with. I'll go shoot that, then I'll probably write another Star Wars one. But my point being is if I can do it, and if I'm telling you it's not that hard, and it's just very simple camera movements and very, you know, it's not that hard because you have so much information from George Lucas, which I believe he purposefully gave out that much information. That way he knew when he wasn't around one day, Star Wars could be continued. Because he has all this stuff for you guys. And then you can take it and make your own thing. But have it be Star Wars. Star Wars is, you know, something that you can't replicate without George in it. Or George's ideas. It's impossible, and it has never been done well. When you remove George's ideas, you remove Star Wars. So The Acolyte has none of George's stuff, therefore it is absolutely not Star Wars. I hope you get what I mean. There's a George Lucas way you write, you edit, and you shoot your Star Wars projects that will fundamentally increase the quality. However, they don't do that. And that is the easiest part. We haven't even gotten to the writing yet. The technical stuff is so easy. And I'm telling you, you have no idea. It is just watch the 6 movies and you'll get it. But I don't know. Maybe I just know way too much about Star Wars and maybe that's why. But like if you're working on an official Star Wars project at Lucasfilm and you cannot manage to make it feel like George Star Wars, that's a problem. Because if I can do it, you can do it, right? It doesn't take 13 years to know how to edit, shoot, and direct a Star Wars movie. You just have to look at George's stuff and learn from him, and that is it. And I'm sure they have people who can contact him if you need a lifeline. Really, like, it's not hard. So, George's stuff, it was done in a way to immerse you, make you love Star Wars, make you connect with the characters, make the characters teach you lessons, and make you a better person and have a fundamental idea of good and evil. That is what Star Wars was for. And these are all intertwined in all 6 Star Wars movies. And that's what helps them be as iconic as they are today. And when it isn't done well, and when they purposefully, like Leslie Edlin, purposefully divert and dilute from that, we get mad. Because of how much we know the simplicity and the just product quality of just replicating the bare bones of Star Wars. The bare bones. It's hard to make a good Star Wars story, and that takes a lot of knowledge and stuff. But to make the bare bones of Star Wars is not hard. And it's like, you could have these guys that have been working in the film industry for like 40 years. They've worked on, you know, such these huge projects, and it's like, they don't even try. They don't even try to learn, because they're like, oh, I've learned everything. Oh, I have nothing more to learn. It's like, no, I am digging and digging and digging for more George stuff whenever I see it. And I'm trying to learn more and more and more. But the thing is I literally have gone through like almost everything. But if George comes out and says more, I'm going to take that and learn from it. Right? And you read from the legend stuff, and you read from all these books, and you read from, it's just research, right? And I've learned so much, and I've grown so much, and I've learned what is Star Wars and what isn't. And I've learned, you know, not to label all of Disney's trash under the Star Wars title, because it's not. It doesn't have the heart, it doesn't have the soul, and it doesn't have the immersion that George's 6 movies has. It doesn't, okay? And that's not debatable, because the impact of Disney stuff doesn't have people lined up outside movie theaters for 2 days to see one film. That doesn't happen. You don't have people screaming at the door, you know, running around in joy, you know, the second they get in and have their ticket handed to them. That doesn't happen. You don't have people dressed in costumes and lines outside the door for the movie. You don't have people saying, crying, walking out of these movies, you know, hyped and full of joy. That doesn't happen. You don't have that with these shows. It's just, well, next one. Well, next one. That's not Star Wars. You've lost the soul of Star Wars. Like, what happened, man? It's just sad. It's just devastating. Because the real Star Wars fans, the George Lucas fans, we know how Star Wars works the most. We have put the most time into Star Wars. And we get mad, really mad, and we say what we feel without any shadow of a doubt. And I do it all the time. Look, I just ripped up an Acolyte poster on video. Yeah, because you have to send a message sometimes to these corporate greedy companies that what they are doing is not okay. And the mission of my channel is to protect George's vision. And simply not talking about these problems isn't going to do it, you know? Talk about George's stuff too, but you gotta really nail them when they do something horribly wrong. Because Star Wars has made such a positive impact on me and who I am, and has really, really guided me on weird situations, you know? And I have a giant boost from God. So that obviously, like, has a huge impact too. And that's, you know, the main thing that keeps me not going mentally ill and psychotic. But Star Wars is there for me for a reason. God put it there so that I could have something to see someone directly and relate to them. He put it there on purpose. This isn't here for no reason. I'm not this passionate about this brand because it's just a movie. I believe Star Wars inspires good, and Star Wars teaches kids how to be good people, and Star Wars has positive role models. And it has changed the world, and it has made people, you know, become better people. It has made people, you know, convert to religion. It has made people realize that what they may be doing is bad and what they may be doing is evil, right? It has shifted perspectives on so many people, and it is a fundamental piece to cinema that cannot be extinguished. It cannot. Once Star Wars is gone, the moral value of cinema will dip to the floor. Because Star Wars is the one thing. What other franchise has this, like, light side and dark side? That doesn't, you know, like, that's not a thing anywhere else. You have the yin and the yang, and then you have characters who are in the middle, right? And that just doesn't happen anywhere else. You don't see evil and good, you know? And that's, I'm not saying don't have fun with it. Like, the Sith, they are evil, but is it fun to say they're cool and he looks awesome? Yeah, of course. Have fun with it. I'm not telling you to be like, hate the Sith because they're evil. No, man. You know, there's a way to have fun with the franchise without, you know, agreeing with the way the Sith, you know, treat the galaxy. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is have fun with it, but at the same time, you should take these moral lessons you're given and use them to your advantage, because they are very, very beneficial and helpful. And pretty much every real fan has used them in some way, you know, to guide them in a better direction. And that's the other thing. If you're going to sit here and say, oh, well, that sounds like a cult, you're not a fan. You don't know what it's like to have these characters grow you or teach you or, you know, give you ways to deal with situations. Like, it's insane. Even thinking not, you know, having Qui-Gon and Luke, and it's crazy, man. Like, of not thinking about them as heroes and thinking about them as just characters. Like, that's just as wild to me. You know, and that's the impact of George's stuff. And all it takes is a good human being who can write good stories to make characters just as good as that. And the last one we've gotten that has really, you know, been that impactful was Ahsoka Tano. You know, and that was the last time that I really felt, and Din Djarin, I really could connect with him in a lot of ways, too. So, those two characters have been, you know, Ahsoka especially. Din isn't even close on Ahsoka's impact on the fandom and on the world. You know, but there have been only two out of the probably hundreds of characters Disney Star Wars has come up with. There have been only two that have really, you know, been significant. And that's a problem. That is a massive, 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 massive problem. You know, and I guess you could say Kanan or Ezra, but, like, who else? Like, they don't make characters who have a fundamental impact on people. And that is vital to Star Wars. That is vital to Star Wars' franchise health. You know, if it just becomes like Marvel right now, or it becomes like a Saturday morning cartoon from the 50s, then it's not Star Wars. It's lost its soul. And that cannot happen, man. Like that. And it's happening. And that's horrible to have to sit and watch. But I guess I'm saying the most important thing for us to realize is to look at Star Wars with a smile and realize we have these 6 movies that have guided us as people and have guided us as fans and as filmmakers and as, you know, everything. And love them, you know, and protect them and call them Star Wars. Call Clone Wars Star Wars. I love Clone Wars, man. Obviously, it's the George Lucas Star Wars. It's just as good as the 6 movies. You know, like, that's fine, man. Like, just That's Star Wars. And Rogue One Solo, I guess they're not there, but they're pretty good at, feeling like Star Wars. They're pretty good. So just love Star Wars. And this Disney stuff, man, this isn't it. And if you're gonna say, well, you're wrong, and you're toxic, that's just not true. I'm a fan of George Lucas, and I'm a fan of Star Wars. I'm not a fan of this crap, okay? And if that means, I don't, go to the Skeleton Crew, whatever, I don't care. That's not my concern. My main goal out of this is to bring Star Wars back to its feet. And sometimes it takes a little bit of punching. Unfortunately, sometimes you have to rip to get it up. Right? At this point, it's like trying to push someone who's the weight of Jabba the Hutt back up to their feet. That is how screwed up Star Wars is. And sometimes you really are going to have to, push. And that's what I'm doing. Because I'm really trying to push it up in the right direction. I'm not just yelling to yell. I'm not just, complaining to complain. I'm doing this for Star Wars and for cinema. That's what I'm doing this for. And for good moral stories that teach kids how to live, and that push religion. That's what I am trying to save. And it's been vital to me. It's been vital to all of us real fans. And it has given us heroes. And it has given us moral lessons and everything under the sun. It's just given us fun times. Going outside, swinging our sabers, reading books, buying cool helmets, and all that fun collector stuff too. It's just given us so much. And, seeing that start to be taken away, I'm not going to just let that happen. I'm going to fight as much as I can. So until things get straightened out. And at this point, you can say, oh, you've joined the dark side. If that's your point of view, I'd say you're the dark side. If you're continuing to walk with this and call this Star Wars, you're the dark side. You're the villain of the story, because you don't want what's best for the franchise. And if that's the case, and you just want attention on social media, leave the fandom. And I recommend you just go to Marvel, because that's how most Marvel fans, they don't give a crap about where the brand is. They're just like, oh, new show. It's complete garbage, but I'm going to just say I'm so excited. And that's how Marvel people are, because they're all casual. They don't really care. Unlike me, I'm a D1 Iron Man fan, dude. And I was wrecked in Endgame, bro. It felt like I lost, a father, bro. That, it was tough. And, ever since Endgame, I didn't even really... Endgame really isn't even that good of a movie to begin with. But, ever since Iron Man died, Marvel's been lost. Because we don't have Cap, we don't have Black Widow. It's a complete disaster. But the general, vibe of Marvel is still there. The bare bones are still there. So it's I still go watch all this stuff, and seeing the Marvel Studios thing, I still get the smile on my face, because I'm like, ooh, or Batman. I love Batman. I'm a D1 Batman fan. I'm obsessed with Batman. And I love all his stuff, and I watch all his stuff, and most of his stuff is amazing, And I'm always super excited for every Batman project. You know, the Penguin comes out in September, and I'm like, floored. You know, I love cars, and I love racing. Like, I'm a big fan of a lot of things. I don't know. I guess I just love stories, and I love cool stuff. I don't know. I love life, guys. This is just me, you know. I have tons of interests, but Star Wars, it's something else. You know, I'm beyond a D1 Star Wars fan, you know, like, it's very, very significant to me. And I look at all these other franchises where I'm really able to love them and appreciate them still and not yell about them. It's like Deadpool and Wolverine's coming up, bro. I'm so excited. It's gonna be such a fun movie after dealing with this stupid show. Man, that's gonna be even more special. I'm like, who cares? It's not gonna be some masterful movie, I'm sure, but you're gonna see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine and Deadpool, and you're gonna get all these cameos. It's gonna be a fun movie, bro. Like, come on. Who doesn't want that? You know, that's crazy. You know, I'm not here to, you know, Marvel, I'm not, I kind of got lost with it because I still watch the stuff, but it's just not my thing, but I'm not ripped from it, you know, I'm not like, oh, this is separate, nah, bro, like, it's just, there are some good projects along the way, but it's not great. But man, yeah, it's like, I can still feel like I want to go support Marvel Studios still, you know, I feel like I can go to the theater and be like, they deserve this ticket sometimes. You know, I get that feeling. Same with DC. DC, I'm always like, bro, we're going to get something cool. Only for Batman. You know, Batman, we're going to get something cool. Star Wars, I'm like, I don't even know if I want to give them a view, give them a click, give them money. You know, Disney, I'm completely anti-Disney. I don't watch I try not to watch, you know, any of their movies in theaters. I don't buy any Disney-related merchandise. And I know Star Wars and Marvel are under Disney, but just the idea, I guess, of buying, like, a Mickey Mouse thing, it's like, it's like buying a statue of the devil. I don't want to touch that, you know? But then at the same time, old Disney was amazing, and I loved it as a kid. But now it's just corporate greed and nastiness. So I try not to support Walt Disney Studios at all. You know, no, like, it's just, no. And it's not like I'm gonna no longer watch any Star Wars or Marvel because it's under Disney. Like, that's ridiculous, because those, you know, no. But, yeah, I don't support Disney anymore. As you guys know, I despise them for what they've done to Star Wars. It's, like, ridiculous. Because a lot of it is them. It's not just Kathleen Kennedy and these stupid creators. A lot of it is Disney and them interfering and putting their quotas and everything. Like, I don't know how Kevin Feige has basically put a foot down for a long time. Echo was totally that. It was garbage. You know, I guess that's not true. Marvel's been hit by it. But Kevin Feige, instead of being an idiot like Kathleen Kennedy, he adapts and tries his best to make a better story out of it, you know? About characters that no one cares about, like Echo, or, you know, or Ironheart, or all these stupid, like, no one cares, you know? Or Kate Bishop Hawkeye, like, bro, give me a break. But at least he tries to do his best, and I can see he's trying, and he cares about us. And it's like, I don't have nearly as much Marvel stuff in my room, you know, I don't have a lot of it. But in here, I'm a big Marvel fan, you know, like, that's the thing. Like, you don't need all this stuff to, you know, you just have to be a fan inside, I guess, is what I'm saying. And that's all that counts. You know, Balin Levine, he's a huge Star Wars fan, but, you know, his channel isn't all about Star Wars, right? But inside, he is a real fan who loves and cares about George Lucas Star Wars. So that's a good example, you know, like, just because you don't make content around it or have tons of it in your room. I have some, obviously, and I have a ton of Marvel books, but, You know, I don't have as many posters and stuff, and it doesn't matter. Because I'm still a fan at heart, a true fan at heart. You know, I'm not just going to sit here and say, oh, this is great. Oh my gosh, I'm like, oh, here we go. But, yeah, Marvel's a messy, but you can clean it up with some soap, you know. And they're going to with Deadpool, I hope. I can't imagine that going wrong. I really can't. Yeah, but my point being is, even though Disney stuff is beyond garbage, it's like atrocious, just throw it away. Okay? It's just being, it's like, let's say you're going for a walk, you know, and you see a bag of Fritos that's empty, you know, just kind of flying around, and it flies onto the, let's say you're sitting down, it flies onto the table you're sitting down, and you're like, oh, I might as well throw it away. Just grab it, throw it away, just drop it, move on. That's what you should do. But, you know, obviously, don't let it slide. You know, be like, you know, figure out the origin of that and be like, bro, throw your trash away, right? Like, why are you not throwing your trash away? So, take that into Star Wars. You know, you see this soulless bag that's in your way. Just toss it and then be like, dude, why didn't you toss this earlier? That's my point. So just really kind of lock into that perspective. Watch every show with an open mind, you know. Oh, watch it all like you're just sitting there for a really cool new Star Wars project back in George era. Just start like that, and then have your own opinion, and don't let the shows influence you. You know, I'm not here to rip your opinion or something, but I'm here just to tell you to think logically and to think, what would George do? You know, that's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm not trying to tell you, you know, I don't know. That's really what I'm saying, is just think about real Star Wars and think about how those movies impacted you, and if these new stuff really are impacting you in the same way. And I really haven't seen anyone who these movies are impacting them the same way. So in that case, just drop it, throw it away, and find the source and do what you need to do. And that's what I'm doing. Because it's war now, guys. It's no longer, oh, that was bad, let's move on. No, bro, I'm fighting a war. Me, Star Wars Theory, Critical Drinker, Geeks and Gamers, Jay, Drunk 3PO, you know, that's his name. So many people, man. And I know tons of people who aren't on social media. We are all fighting a war, you know. We are the rebels, you know, in terms of our numbers. You know, it's rebels versus the Empire. And good always ends up winning. So at some point, good will succeed and it will shift, if that's how God wants it to happen, you know. But we'll see. You know, he has a plan. He'll figure it out. Just like the Force would in Star Wars, which you didn't know, the Force is a metaphor for God. That's a quote from the Star Wars archives, which is a quote from George Lucas. So, just fun fact of the day. But yeah, so just let him do his work. He'll figure everything out. But just make noise. But be respectful to, when you're in conversation with people, be respectful to them. Don't tell them you're an idiot who's a this, this, and that, because then you sound just like them. Go into it, I guess, play dumb. Hey, how are you? And be like, oh, I don't like it because of this, this, and you give all this evidence, and they're like, oh, I didn't see that. That's how you approach it. So just be respectful and kind and courteous when you're talking to these people. if you go too aggressive, they're not going to listen to anything you say. And that's something I've learned. Just be kind, be courteous. And it shows a difference between sides. Where the other side, if you say you don't like something or you hate something, they're like, you're a bigot, and you're a phobe, and you're an ist, and you're a blah, 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 blah. So just watch out. But yeah, you know, George's stuff really has fundamentally impacted me and many others around the world. And we're here to protect it. And the immersion and magic and good teachings of George's stuff is really what is Star Wars to me. So when that gets treaded upon, I'm like, no, that's not how it works, and that's not cool. And when people purposefully do it, then that's a serious problem, because that shows they're trying to destroy it. It's like if you build this perfect Lego set, and your friend bumps into it because they didn't know. And that's like fine. You know, and it's like they try to go piece it back together, and they do. Great. Because they have their manual. Rather than your friend picking up your Lego set, tossing it on the floor, and leaving. That's what the Acolyte is. Right? And you have to go scrounge it together. You know, the real fan who built the set has to go scrounge it together and rebuild it. That's what's happening. You know, as they used to just make little mistakes, and then Dave would go correct them. Put it back together. Oh, you just bumped it. It's okay. It's just accidents happen. Nah, this is purposeful. And Leslie Edlund said it. She is picking up that Millennium Falcon, you know, UCS set, and she is slamming it on the floor. And she is stomping on it. That's what's happening right now, man. So that's a good, I guess, way for you to see how we feel about this stuff, man. Is like when George's stuff is treaded upon, we are not happy at all. And that's just because it's impacted us in such a fundamental way. And it's really the only thing that's real Star Wars. So it's important. But that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I hope it taught you a lot. And if you need more explanation, I'll drop a poll. And I can like really write up a video. Instead of me doing my podcast ones where I don't use any notes or anything. I just kind of talk. I can organize a video and do another one if you guys want. But I'll drop a poll tomorrow. I guess probably by the time I'm posting this today about it. So thank you guys so much. Love you guys. All the, you know, real fans in here, which I'm sure all of you guys are, because you wouldn't be subbed to me if you hated me. Love you all. See you in the next video. Just remember, this is real Star Wars. I'm going to try to find a piece that has the Disney Plus logo on it. This is not. This is trash. This is Star Wars. End of story. Thank you for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, share. I already gave that. I guess I've reached the point where I'm going to just start laughing at everything now. So I guess just do that. It's useless, you know, getting mad about it. Bro, when I'm done with this, I'm just going to watch some F1 or something, bro. I'm so over being mad, bro. I had such a nice day today, too, up in LA at this nice sushi place. So I had a great day today, you know. Just a little bump with the Acolyte. But it's trash. I threw it away, and I gave my statement. Move on. Yeah, so bye-bye. May the Force be with you always. And always remember, your focus determines your reality.